Captain America Civil War is an enjoyable but flawed follow-up to both Captain America the Winter Soldier and Avengers Age of Ultron. It's not nearly as powerful or as gripping as Winter Soldier, but it also does a much better job of juggling so many different characters than Ultron did. World leaders are finally demanding oversight over Earth's mightiest heroes. Iron Man is for signing on to the Sokovia Accords, but Cap is very much against it. And after a deadly attack is attributed to his old partner Bucky Barnes, Cap goes rogue in order to locate and protect his oldest friend, while Tony Stark and the Avengers who sided with him are given a deadline to stop them before less friendly elements are sent after them. Superhero versus superhero action ensues as new heroes join the fray and a mysterious nemesis, Helmut Zemo, operates his own shadowy agenda. This is, as it should be, very much Cap's movie, and Chris Evans' Steve Rogers once again proves he's the heart and soul of the MCU. But while his battle of ideologies with Tony is compelling, it never quite evolves past the same argument being repeated throughout, and both sides doing something to show why the other might be right. Ultimately, all this conflict doesn't amount to any real resolution, which only adds to a frustrating, albeit emotional, final act. Robert Downey Jr. turns in an uncharacteristically morose turn as Tony, even moodier than he was in Ultron and in parts of Iron Man 3. He certainly has good reasons for being down, although it does sap the movie of some of the charm and fun Iron Man has long been relied on to deliver. As much as Cap and Tony's relationship is put to the test here, it's ultimately Cap's romantic devotion to Bucky that trumps all else. Sebastian Stan once again finds the humanity in his Cold Warrior killer, while Anthony Mackie's Falcon serves as a sort of rival of Cap's affection. Bucky and Falcon's relationship is played mostly for comic relief to help offset the overwhelmingly tense and even gloomy tone of the movie. Know who else brings the chuckles to Civil War? Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, making his highly anticipated MCU debut. Spider-Man is hands down the best thing in Civil War. He not only steals Cap's shield, he pretty much steals his movie too. It's a very small role, but it sure leaves the audience wanting more. Far more integral to the plot is fellow MCU newcomer Black Panther, who is as much a regal badass as Thor. Panther's fight scenes are very cool, his costume looks great, and his emotional arc satisfies the need for an origin story. And though he's barely in the trailers, Paul Bettany's Vision also shines here. Seeing Vision trying to act normal is sweet and funny. It's frustrating though that he's often left house sitting when he could have come in handy at certain points out in the field. As for the bad guy, Daniel Bruhl's Zemo has a very human and compelling motive, but his actual scheme doesn't hold up under scrutiny and relies on a few too many coincidences. Without a doubt, Civil War's airport battle sequence is the best superhero brawl ever depicted on screen, and is chock full of nerdgasm-inducing moments people will geek out about for years. But this jaw-dropping battle occurs later in Act 2, leaving the emotional final act noticeably sapped of energy. While it's good that this climactic showdown didn't revolve around yet another portal in the sky, it's also completely dependent on Zemo's machinations and an aha moment that feels a bit forced just for additional conflict between Cap and Tony. Ultimately, Captain America Civil War can't quite recapture the emotional and cerebral strengths of the Winter Soldier. Its central villain proves lackluster, and its final act, while dramatic, loses steam in the wake of an action set piece that assembles the Avengers in instant classic fashion. For all things Marvel, keep it here on IGN.
Rumlow's on the 3rd floor.
Wanda, just like we practiced.
What about the gas?
Get it out.